Valeria Quinn used to believe in love. Then her fiancé cheated on her with her wedding planner 3 weeks before the ceremony and still had the audacity to ask if they could stay friends. Since then, Valeria has sworn off romance completely. Love is a scam wrapped in pretty words and overpriced flowers. So when she meets Noah Callahan, the annoyingly charming owner of the cafe below her new apartment, who smiles like sunshine and flirts like it's his full-time job, she immediately decides he's a problem. Unfortunately for her, Noah falls hard the second he sees her yelling at a parking meter in heels while holding an iced coffee like it personally offended her. And Noah? He's determined to prove love isn't dead. Even if Valeria keeps trying to murder him with sarcasm. Chapter 1: The Girl Who Hated Flowers. Valeria Quinn decided she hated romance the exact moment she caught her fiancé half-naked in a hotel room with their wedding planner while Coldplay played faintly in the background like the universe was mocking her personally. It had been 3 years ago and somehow the humiliation still lived inside her like unpaid rent. Since then, she had developed 3 very important rules. Rule number 1: never trust men who say baby too often. Rule number 2: flowers were manipulative. Rule number 3: love was basically emotional gambling with worse odds. So when she dragged her final suitcase into her new apartment building on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, romance was the last thing on her mind. Survival was first. Then caffeine. Then maybe revenge fantasies involving Ethan slipping on a banana peel into traffic. "You look like you're plotting a murder," a voice said behind her. Valeria turned and immediately regretted it because the man standing there looked unfairly attractive. Tall. Dark hair slightly messy from the rain. Gray hoodie. Tattoos peeking from his sleeves. Warm brown eyes that practically radiated sunshine. The kind of face that made women accidentally walk into poles. He held a tray of coffees in one hand while balancing a paper bag under his arm. "Need help?" he asked with an easy smile. No, his smile widened instead of disappearing like a normal person's would. "Okay. Little hostile. I respect it." Valeria grunted while dragging her suitcase toward the elevator. One wheel squeaked aggressively across the floor like it too was miserable. "You know," he continued casually while walking beside her, "most people usually say thank you when I offer to help. Most people still believe in hope." He laughed. Actually laughed. Loud and genuine. It echoed through the lobby. Valeria frowned at him suspiciously. "Why are you so cheerful?" "Because it's Tuesday." "That explains absolutely nothing." "Exactly." The elevator dinged open. She stepped inside quickly and pressed the close button before he could follow. Unfortunately, he slipped in at the last second with the confidence of a man who had never once feared consequences. "You stalking me now?" she asked flatly. "Depends. Which floor?" "Not telling you." He glanced down as the number 5 lit up. "Ah. 5. She stared at him. "I hate you already." "That's fast." "Usually it takes women at least 2 business days." Valeria rolled her eyes so hard she nearly saw her brain. The elevator stopped on the 5th floor. She walked out first only to freeze when the man followed her down the hallway. "No," he blinked innocently. "No what?" "You cannot possibly live here." "Apartment 5B, he replied casually. Valeria looked at her own key. 5A, you're joking." "I wish I was. My neighbor apparently wants me dead already." She unlocked her door with a dramatic sigh. "Listen carefully, hoodie boy. Noah. I don't care. We are not becoming one of those weird neighbor friendships where you borrow sugar and slowly fall in love." Noah nearly dropped his coffees laughing. "Wow. You really skipped straight to the trauma. Goodbye." She slammed the door in his face. Silence. Then 3 knocks. Valeria groaned and reopened the door aggressively. "What now?" Noah held out one of the coffees. "Peace offering. I don't take drinks from strangers." "I'm Noah." "Still strange." "Fair." He looked down at the cup. I got caramel latte because statistically angry women like caramel. Statistically? I made it up. She should have shut the door again. Instead, her eyes drifted to the foam art sitting on top of the latte. It was shaped like a tiny heart. Her eye twitched. Did you seriously put a heart on this? Noah looked proud of himself. Yeah. I hate hearts. That's fixable. No, it isn't. Next time I'll do a skull. Valeria stared at him for a second too long before a laugh accidentally escaped her mouth. It slipped out before she could stop it. Noah looked genuinely delighted. There she is. Her smile vanished immediately. You imagined that? Sure. She snatched the coffee and shut the door again. This time she leaned against it afterward, annoyed at herself. The coffee smelled amazing. Worse, when she tasted it, it was perfect. Not too sweet. Extra espresso. Exactly how she liked it. Which was concerning because she had never told him her order. Her phone buzzed. Sophia, how's the new apartment? Valeria typed back immediately. Valeria, my neighbor is attractive and annoying. Sophia, oh who? Valeria, don't start. Sophia, you're cursed. Valeria, I'd rather die. Sophia, famous last words. Valeria glared at her phone before tossing it onto the couch. Outside her window the rain poured harder across the city skyline while thunder rolled faintly in the distance. She told herself the warmth spreading through her chest was from the coffee. Definitely not because of the smiling idiot next door. Unfortunately for Valeria Quinn, the universe had already decided otherwise. The next morning she woke up late after her alarm somehow failed to go off. She panicked immediately. Shit. She flew around her apartment trying to get ready simultaneously. Mascara in one hand. Toast in the other. She nearly broke her neck putting on heels while hopping toward the door. Then the heel snapped. You traitorous bitch. She stared at the broken shoe in horror before shoving on sneakers instead. By the time she made it downstairs she was sweaty, furious, and dangerously close to committing tax fraud out of spite. The cafe beneath the apartment building was packed with customers. Valeria pushed inside desperately needing caffeine before work. Then she froze. Behind the counter stood Noah wearing a black apron and smiling at customers like some kind of handsome cult leader. Absolutely not, she whispered. Noah looked up instantly. His entire face lit up. Morning, grumpy neighbor. You own the cafe? Yep. That feels illegal somehow. He placed a cup on the counter. Triple shot caramel latte. Extra espresso. Valeria narrowed her eyes. How do you know my order? Lucky guess. Liar. You seem like someone who threatens people before 9 a.m. She grabbed the coffee anyway. I do. I know. A little old lady standing beside Valeria leaned toward Noah conspiratorially. Is that your girlfriend? Valeria nearly inhaled her own tongue. Absolutely not, she choked out. Noah rested his elbows on the counter. Not yet. Valeria pointed at him slowly. I'm filing a restraining order. You know my last name? Unfortunately. Callahan, he said proudly. Sounds fake. Your name is Valeria Quinn. You sound like a detective in a crime novel. The old lady cackled. Traitor. Valeria paid for her coffee quickly before escaping the cafe while Noah shouted, Have a beautiful day, sweetheart. She flipped him off without turning around. Noah laughed loudly behind her. And somehow, despite everything, Valeria found herself smiling during the entire walk to work. Chapter 2, Noah's Terrible Plan. Noah Callahan fell in love in approximately 4 seconds. 5 if he counted the moment she threatened him with emotional violence in the elevator. By Thursday, he knew 3 things about Valeria Quinn. 1. She drank enough caffeine to medically concern professionals. 2. She pretended to hate everyone but secretly tipped waiters absurd amounts. 3. She smiled when she thought nobody was looking. That last one nearly killed him. "You're staring again," his sister Mia said while refilling pastry trays behind the cafe counter. Noah blinked. "What?" Mia followed his line of sight toward the window where Valeria sat alone reading something on her laptop while aggressively eating a blueberry muffin like it had insulted her ancestors. Mia snorted. "Oh my God. What? You like her?" Noah shrugged casually. "Maybe." Noah. "Fine. I'd let her ruin my life." Mia burst out laughing. "You're pathetic." "I know." Valeria looked up suddenly and caught him staring. Noah smiled immediately. She narrowed her eyes before flipping him off again through the glass window. His heart fluttered. That's basically flirting, he decided. Mia looked horrified. "You need therapy." Later that afternoon, Valeria stormed into the cafe wearing a pencil skirt and enough irritation to power a small country. Noah straightened instantly. "Welcome back, sunshine. Your customer parked like an idiot and blocked my car." "That's definitely Tony. I hope his socks stay wet forever." Noah grinned while making her coffee. "Bad day?" "A man called me emotional during a meeting." "Did you kill him?" "Not legally." He handed her the drink carefully. "On the house." "Why?" "Because you look one inconvenience away from arson." Valeria accepted the coffee suspiciously. "You're weirdly nice." "And you're weirdly mean." "Exactly." Noah leaned against the counter while she took a sip. "So what do you do?" "Corporate law." "That explains the eye twitching." "What do you do besides flirt with emotionally unavailable women?" "Bake croissants." "Tragic." "I contain multitudes." A little girl walked into the cafe holding her father's hand. She pointed excitedly at the pastries while Noah crouched down immediately to talk to her. Valeria watched quietly as he handed the girl a free cookie shaped like a bear. The child gasped dramatically before hugging his leg. Noah laughed softly and ruffled her hair. Something uncomfortable shifted inside Valeria's chest. "You're good with kids," she admitted when he returned. Noah looked surprised. "Yeah? It's annoying." "That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me." "Don't get used to it." He smiled at her gently. Too gently. It made her nervous. Valeria looked away first. Huge mistake. Because once she noticed Noah, she couldn't stop noticing him. The way he always loosened his apron strings when stressed. The tiny scar near his chin. The fact he danced terribly whenever old songs played in the cafe. She also noticed women flirted with him constantly. One customer literally wrote her number on a napkin while touching his arm. Noah politely declined without even looking interested. Which was somehow more annoying. "You know," Sophia said later that night over dinner, "normal people would just admit they're attracted to him." Valeria stabbed her pasta aggressively. "I'm not attracted to him." Sophia stared blankly. "You just described his forearms for 10 minutes. They're unfortunately noticeable." Valeria. "What?" Sophia leaned forward dramatically. "When was the last time you actually liked someone?" Silence. Valeria looked down at her wine glass. Sophia's expression softened instantly. "Oh. Exactly. Not every man is Ethan. Enough are." Sophia sighed. "You can't punish every person because one guy sucked." "He didn't suck. He cheated on me with the woman planning our wedding while my mother had already mailed invitations." Sophia winced. "Fair point." Valeria looked away toward the restaurant window. "I loved him like an idiot." Sophia reached across the table and squeezed her hand gently. "That doesn't make you an idiot." "Feels like it." Across town, Noah was currently lying upside down on his couch while texting Mia. "Noah, I think she hates me." Mia, you made her laugh yesterday. Noah, yeah, but she also threatened to pepper spray me. Mia, romantic. Noah stared at the ceiling thoughtfully. Then his phone buzzed again. Mia, don't play games with her. Noah's expression softened. He typed back immediately. Noah, I know. Because that was the thing. Noah wasn't flirting for fun anymore. He genuinely liked her. The sharp tongue. The hidden softness. The sadness she tried covering with sarcasm. He saw it every time her smile disappeared too quickly. He wanted to know what happened to her. Worse, he wanted to fix it. Which was stupid because life wasn't a romance novel and people weren't broken cups you could glue back together with affection. But every time Valeria looked at him with those guarded eyes, Noah felt something in his chest tighten painfully. The next morning Valeria opened her apartment door to find a paper bag sitting outside. She frowned cautiously before opening it. Inside sat a chocolate croissant and a note written in messy handwriting. You looked like you were emotionally fighting demons yesterday. Eat butter about it. Noah. Valeria stared at the note for a long moment before laughing quietly to herself. Then she immediately stopped smiling because absolutely not. Unfortunately, when she got downstairs, Noah was waiting behind the cafe counter with the most smug expression she had ever seen. You smiled at my note, didn't you? Valeria narrowed her eyes. I'm going to poison you. That's basically foreplay. She nearly choked on her coffee. Noah grinned victoriously. Oh, this was going to be a disaster. Chapter 3, The Ex from Hell. Valeria's week was already terrible before Ethan showed up. First, her boss scheduled a meeting at 7 in the morning which should have legally counted as psychological warfare. Then someone stole her yogurt from the office fridge. Then Noah somehow convinced the barista staff to name her usual order the Angry Girl Special. By Friday afternoon she was one inconvenience away from setting something on fire. Which was exactly when her assistant walked into her office looking nervous. Val? Valeria didn't look up from her laptop. If this building is collapsing, tell it to wait until after 5. There's a man outside asking for you. She froze. What man? Tall. Blonde. Expensive suit. Looks like he says things like networking opportunity. Dread curled instantly in Valeria's stomach. No. Absolutely not. But before she could answer, Ethan walked directly into her office holding roses. Roses. Valeria stared at him blankly while every bad memory she'd spent 3 years burying clawed its way back to the surface. Ethan smiled nervously. Hey, Val. Oh my God, she whispered. You escaped hell. Her assistant made a choking sound before fleeing the room immediately. Coward. Ethan sighed tiredly. Can we talk? No, please. Still no. He stepped closer carefully. I know I hurt you. Valeria laughed once. Sharp and humorless. That's a cute way to describe publicly humiliating me. I was young. You were 30. Ethan winced. I made mistakes. Plural? Valeria, you slept with our wedding planner in the hotel where we were supposed to get married. Her voice stayed calm somehow, which honestly impressed even her. Then you cried harder than I did when I threw the ring at your head. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. I deserved that. You deserved jail time. He held the roses out toward her anyway. Can we just have coffee? I would rather eat denim. Ethan sighed again like she was the difficult one here. Amazing. Men truly had endless confidence. I still think about you, he admitted quietly. Valeria stared at him. Then laughed so loudly 3 people outside her office looked over. That's embarrassing for you. Val, now she stood up finally. You don't get to come back because your life got boring. Ethan's jaw tightened slightly. You think that's why I'm here? I know it is. Silence stretched between them. Then another voice suddenly interrupted. She said no, man. Valeria turned so quickly she nearly got whiplash. Noah stood leaning casually against the office doorway holding 2 iced coffees and wearing an expression far too amused for the situation. Ethan frowned immediately. Who's this? Noah walked over slowly and handed Valeria one of the coffees like this was completely normal. Triple espresso, he said softly. You looked murdery this morning. Valeria blinked at him. How did you get in here? Receptionist likes me. Of course she does. Noah finally looked toward Ethan. So you're the ex. Ethan straightened slightly. And you are? Noah smiled lazily. The upgrade. Valeria inhaled her coffee wrong and started choking. Ethan's expression darkened instantly. Are you dating him? No, Valeria answered immediately. Yes, Noah answered at the exact same time. She whipped toward him in horror. Excuse me? Noah ignored her completely and wrapped an arm around her waist. Valeria froze. Ethan stared between them both suspiciously. Since when? Noah answered smoothly. About 3 months. 3 months? Valeria squeaked. Noah squeezed her waist gently in warning before smiling at Ethan again. Best 3 months of my life honestly. Ethan looked furious now. Good. Valeria hoped his hairline receded overnight. You moved on fast, Ethan muttered bitterly. Valeria crossed her arms instantly. You cheated on me fast. Noah bit back a grin. Ethan looked like he wanted to argue but couldn't. Finally he shoved the flowers toward the trash can beside her desk instead. Forget it. Way ahead of you, Valeria replied. Ethan stared at her one final time before walking out stiffly. The second he disappeared around the corner, Valeria rounded on Noah instantly. What the hell was that? Noah sipped his iced coffee calmly. You're welcome. You fake dated me without asking permission. In my defense, he looked like he deserved emotional damage. Valeria tried to stay angry. She really did. But the image of Ethan's offended face combined with Noah's completely unbothered expression nearly made her laugh. Noah noticed immediately. There it is. Don't. You think I'm funny. I think you're clinically insane. He grinned proudly. You still smiled. Valeria pointed toward the door dramatically. Leave my office before I commit violence. Noah started walking backward toward the exit. Dinner tonight? No tomorrow? Also no. Sunday? I'd rather fight a bear. Noah winked. I'll pick you up at 7. Then he disappeared before she could throw something at him. Valeria sank slowly into her chair afterward while staring at the iced coffee in her hands. She should have been furious. Instead her stomach felt strangely warm. Which was deeply concerning. Later that evening Sophia nearly fell off her couch laughing after hearing the story. He said he was the upgrade? Valeria groaned into a pillow. Please stop yelling. That man is obsessed with you. He's insane. Sophia wiped tears from her eyes dramatically. No, babe. That was cinema. Valeria buried her face deeper into the pillow. Unfortunately, beneath all her irritation, one thought kept replaying in her head. Noah showed up for her. Without hesitation. Without asking questions. He just stood beside her. And somehow that scared her more than Ethan ever could. Chapter 4, Fake Dating and Real Problems. The fake dating disaster should have ended after Ethan left. Instead, Noah somehow committed to the bit like his life depended on it. By Monday morning half her office thought she had a hot tattooed boyfriend who baked pastries and looked at her like she personally invented happiness. You need to fix this, Valeria hissed while storming into the cafe before work. Noah looked up from frosting cinnamon rolls. Morning, baby. Stop calling me that. Sweetheart? Worse. Gorgeous? I'm calling the police. Noah laughed while sliding her coffee across the counter. Your receptionist already invited me to the office Christmas party. Valeria stared at him in horror. It's April. She plans ahead. You're enjoying this too much. Obviously. He leaned against the counter. Your ex came back looking like he regretted every life choice he ever made. I'm only human. Valeria took a long sip of coffee while glaring at him over the cup. Unfortunately, Noah looked extremely good today. Black shirt. Sleeves rolled up. Tiny dusting of flour across his forearm. Illegal behavior, honestly. You're staring, Noah said softly. She nearly inhaled coffee directly into her lungs. I was not. You absolutely were. Your ego is exhausting. Noah smirked. But accurate. Before she could answer, one of the older cafe regulars shuffled toward the counter. Mrs. Green was approximately 80 years old and terrifying. She squinted at Noah. Is this the girlfriend? Valeria opened her mouth instantly. Fake girlfriend, yep, Noah interrupted smoothly. Mrs. Green gasped dramatically. Finally. I thought you'd die alone. Noah looked offended. That's rude. You flirt with everyone. Mrs. Green pointed toward Valeria. This one looks mean enough to keep you humble. Valeria burst out laughing before she could stop herself. Noah clutched his chest dramatically. You enjoyed that? Immensely. Mrs. Green nodded approvingly toward Valeria. I like her. Thank you, Valeria replied sincerely. You shouldn't, Noah muttered. Mrs. Green ignored him completely before leaning toward Valeria conspiratorially. He cried during the notebook. Noah gasped. You swore never to reveal that. You deserve consequences. Valeria stared at him slowly. You cried during the notebook? Noah looked deeply offended now. That old couple died holding hands, Valeria. You're ridiculous. I have emotional depth. You have problems. He smiled at her softly. Still here though. That stupid smile did something weird to her stomach again. Valeria hated it. Truly. Which was why she spent the rest of the week avoiding him unsuccessfully. Unfortunately, Noah Callahan was impossible to ignore. He sent pastries to her office with sarcastic notes attached. Your boss looked annoying today. Eat sugar about it. Another read, you frowned at least 17 times this morning. That can't be healthy. And worst of all, she found herself looking forward to them. You're doomed, Sophia announced after reading one of the notes over lunch. I'm not doomed. You smiled at your phone. No, I didn't. Sophia stared blankly. Valeria. Fine. Maybe a little. Oh my God. Valeria stabbed her salad aggressively. He's just easy to be around. Sophia softened slightly. That's not a bad thing. It is for me. Because? Valeria looked away quietly. Because easy became dangerous. Easy became attachment. Attachment became heartbreak. She learned that already. Later that night there was a knock at her apartment door. Valeria opened it cautiously only to find Noah standing there holding a plate of cookies. What now? Emergency. You baked at 9 p.m.? Trauma doesn't sleep. She snorted despite herself before stepping aside reluctantly. Fine. Come in. Noah entered slowly while looking around her apartment curiously. This place looks exactly like you. Emotionally unavailable? Pretty but intimidating. Valeria rolled her eyes while taking one of the cookies. Why are these warm? Fresh from the oven. You made these because? Noah shrugged casually. You looked sad earlier. Her chest tightened unexpectedly. I wasn't sad. You get quieter when you are. Silence filled the room for a second. Noah sat on the couch while she leaned against the kitchen counter. You really loved him, huh? He asked gently. Valeria looked down at the cookie in her hand. I was gonna marry him. Noah's expression softened immediately. What happened after? She laughed quietly. I became terrifying. I don't think you're terrifying. That's because you're weird. True. He watched her carefully for another moment before speaking again. For what it's worth, I think he's an idiot. You don't even know him. I know he lost you. Her breath caught slightly. Damn him. Damn his stupid sincerity. Valeria looked away quickly. You flirt too much. Noah grinned immediately. There she is. I'm serious. So am I. The teasing disappeared from his voice completely now. His gaze stayed locked on hers. Steady. Warm. Real. And suddenly the air between them felt too heavy. Too close. Valeria's pulse stumbled awkwardly. Noah noticed. Of course he did. Slowly, carefully, he stood up from the couch. Relax, he murmured softly. I'm not gonna push. But he stepped closer anyway. Not enough to touch her. Just enough for her to feel his warmth. You know what your problem is? He asked quietly. Valeria swallowed. What? You think letting people care about you is weakness. Her throat tightened instantly because the worst part was how accurate that sounded. Noah's eyes flickered down briefly toward her lips before returning to her face. And, she whispered. And I think you're wrong. For one terrifying second Valeria thought he might kiss her. Worse, part of her wanted him to. Then the oven timer on his phone suddenly started blaring. Noah jumped violently. Oh shit. Valeria blinked. What? My croissants. He stared at his phone in horror before sprinting toward the door. If they burn, I'll never recover emotionally. Valeria burst out laughing as he nearly tripped over his own shoes trying to leave. Noah pointed dramatically at her from the hallway. You're laughing at my pain. Deeply. Monster. Then he disappeared into his apartment while Valeria leaned against her doorway, still laughing softly to herself. A few seconds later she realized something horrifying. Noah made her happy. And that was far more dangerous than attraction ever could be. Chapter 5, Cracks in the Wall. Valeria's life became suspiciously pleasant after that. Which immediately made her nervous. Pleasant things didn't last. That was practically a law of the universe. But every morning there was coffee waiting downstairs with sarcastic foam art. Every night Noah somehow found excuses to knock on her door. Sometimes with pastries. Sometimes with random gossip from the cafe. Once with a tiny cactus because he claimed it looked emotionally defensive. She named it Ethan out of spite. You're smiling more, Sophia observed one Saturday afternoon while helping Valeria shop for groceries. That's unfortunate. Sophia smirked. You like him. I tolerate him. You bought his favorite cereal yesterday. Valeria froze beside the shopping cart. That means nothing. You don't even eat cereal. Maybe I've changed. Oh my God, Sophia gasped dramatically. He's domesticating you. Shut up. Unfortunately, Sophia wasn't entirely wrong. Noah had somehow slipped into Valeria's life so naturally it terrified her. He existed in the small spaces now. Texts throughout the day. Shared dinners after work. Arguing over terrible movies on her couch. He even started walking her to her car in the mornings because she once casually mentioned hating parking garages at night. He remembered everything she said. Which was honestly rude. You hate olives but love olive oil, he said one evening while cooking pasta in her kitchen. Valeria stared at him suspiciously. Why do you know that? You told me. 3 weeks ago. Noah shrugged while stirring sauce. I listen. She looked away quickly after that because something warm and dangerous bloomed in her chest again. You're staring, Noah said without turning around. I hate how often you say that. Because I'm right. Because you're smug. He grinned over his shoulder. You think I'm pretty? I think you'd lose a fight against a goose. That's unrelated. Dinner that night turned into wine. Wine turned into music. Music turned into Noah dancing terribly in her living room while holding a wooden spoon like a microphone. Valeria laughed so hard her stomach hurt. You dance like someone's divorced father. Noah pointed the spoon at her dramatically. And yet you're enchanted. I'm horrified. He grabbed her hand suddenly. Dance with me. Absolutely not. Coward. I have dignity. Noah gasped. Lies. Then before she could protest again, he pulled her toward him. Valeria stumbled directly into his chest with a startled laugh. Noah steadied her instantly, hands warm against her waist. The music softened around them while city lights glowed through her apartment windows. Suddenly everything felt quieter. Closer. Noah looked down at her with that same soft expression that always made her panic internally. See, he murmured. Not so bad. Valeria's heartbeat turned traitorous. You're manipulative. And you're beautiful. She rolled her eyes automatically, but the words still landed somewhere deep inside her chest. Noah slowly spun her around the living room while she laughed breathlessly at his terrible dancing. Then he dipped her dramatically at the end of the song. Valeria yelped. Noah. Relax. I've got you. And the stupid thing was, he did. His arm held her securely while he looked down at her like she was something precious. Her laughter slowly faded. The room suddenly felt too warm. Too small. Noah's eyes flickered toward her lips again. Valeria's breath caught. He noticed immediately. Valeria, he said quietly. Her pulse stumbled harder at the sound of her name in his voice. Soft. Careful. Like something fragile. This was bad. Very bad. Because for the first time in years, Valeria wanted someone to kiss her. Then her phone rang. She jerked backward immediately like she'd been electrocuted. Noah stepped away too quickly to hide his disappointment. Valeria grabbed her phone gratefully. Until she saw the caller ID. Ethan. Her stomach dropped instantly. Noah's expression changed the second he saw her face. What happened? Nothing. That's definitely not true. The phone kept buzzing in her hand. Noah glanced at the screen before looking back at her carefully. You gonna answer? No good choice. But Ethan immediately called again. Then again. Then again. Valeria finally answered aggressively. What? Ethan sounded drunk. Val. I miss you. She closed her eyes slowly. It's midnight. I made mistakes. You made several. Noah quietly started cleaning the kitchen to give her privacy, but Valeria could feel his concern from across the room. Ethan sighed heavily through the phone. I just thought maybe someday. No silence. Then Ethan laughed bitterly. Is it because of him? Valeria frowned. What? That cafe guy. Her grip tightened on the phone. You don't get to ask about my life anymore. Ethan went quiet for a second before speaking again. You sound happier. The words hit unexpectedly hard. Because she did. And that terrified her. Goodbye, Ethan. She hung up immediately afterward and stared down at the phone silently. Noah approached carefully. You okay? Yeah. Lie. Noah tilted his head slightly. You want to talk about it? Not really. He nodded once. Okay. No pressure. No pushing. Just understanding. Somehow that nearly hurt worse. Valeria sank down onto the couch with a frustrated sigh. Why are you looking at me like that? Noah sat beside her slowly. Like what? Like you're worried. Because I am. Her chest tightened again. God. She hated how gentle he was with her. You don't have to fix everything, she muttered quietly. Noah looked at her for a long moment. I know. Then why do you keep trying? His expression softened. Because I care about you. The word settled heavily between them. Real. Honest. Terrifying. Valeria looked away first. Of course she did. Noah sighed quietly before nudging her knee with his. Hey. What? You know I'm not going anywhere, right? And there it was. The dangerous part. Because Valeria realized she wanted to believe him. Which meant she was already in trouble. Chapter 6, Running Away. The problem with Noah Callahan was that he made Valeria forget herself. Around him she laughed too loudly. Smiled too easily. Relaxed in ways she hadn't for years. And the closer they became, the more terrified she felt. Because happiness always came with consequences. It started after the almost kiss. Noah became gentler afterward. More careful. Like he sensed she was standing on the edge of something frightening. Which only made things worse because now she couldn't stop thinking about kissing him. It was humiliating, honestly. You're distracted, her coworker Jenna observed during a meeting Monday morning. Valeria blinked. I'm listening. You just wrote Noah inside your notebook. Silence. Absolute silence. Valeria slowly looked down. There it was. Noah. Written 3 times absent-mindedly beside her meeting notes. Jenna gasped dramatically. Oh my God. Keep your voice down. You're in love. I'm literally filing a harassment complaint against you. Jenna leaned closer excitedly. Is it the cafe guy? Unfortunately. He's hot. That's irrelevant. You doodled his name. I was possessed. Jenna cackled loudly while Valeria contemplated quitting her job and moving countries. Things only got worse that evening when she walked downstairs and found Noah asleep at one of the cafe tables after closing time. His head rested against folded arms while paperwork sat scattered around him. Warm golden light illuminated his face softly. Valeria stopped walking instantly. God. He looked beautiful. Peaceful. Human. A lock of dark hair fell over his forehead while exhaustion softened the usual teasing edges of his expression. Something deep inside her chest ached unexpectedly. Noah stirred slightly then blinked awake. The second he saw her, he smiled sleepily. Hey, sweetheart. Valeria's stomach betrayed her immediately. Why are you sleeping in your cafe like a divorced man? Noah laughed softly while rubbing his eyes. Inventory night. She walked closer before she could stop herself. You look tired. You look pretty. That's not a real response. It's an honest one. He said things like that too naturally. Too easily. Like complimenting her wasn't effort at all. Noah stretched slowly before standing up. I saved you cheesecake. Bribery again? Always. She accepted the plate anyway because apparently she had no dignity left around this man. Noah watched her take a bite before smiling smugly. See? You'd die without me. I'd survive out of spite. That's fair. Silence settled comfortably between them after that. Comfortable silence. The kind Valeria used to think only existed in movies. Noah leaned against the counter while watching her eat cheesecake like it was fascinating. What? She asked finally. Nothing. You're staring again. Can you blame me? Her heartbeat stumbled awkwardly. Noah noticed immediately because apparently the universe hated her. His expression softened slightly. You okay? Fine. Liar. Valeria looked away quickly. That familiar panic was rising again. The dangerous kind. The kind that whispered she was getting attached. Noah stepped closer carefully. Hey. Don't. Don't what? Look at me like that. His brows furrowed slightly. Like what? Like, she struggled for words. Like I matter. The joke vanished completely from Noah's face. You do matter. Her chest tightened painfully. Too much. This was too much. Valeria stepped backward instinctively. Noah noticed immediately. Hurt flickered briefly across his expression before he hit it. I scared you. No lie. Noah exhaled quietly. Valeria. I should go. She grabbed her purse too quickly and headed toward the door before he could stop her. Val, good night, Noah. She practically fled the cafe afterward. Coward. The word echoed through her mind the entire elevator ride upstairs. But she couldn't stop. Because every time Noah looked at her with genuine affection, terror wrapped around her ribs. She knew how this ended. People left. People changed. People disappointed you eventually. That was reality. The next morning she avoided the cafe entirely. Which meant no coffee. Which meant by 10 a.m. she was ready to physically fight someone. Her phone buzzed repeatedly throughout the day. Noah, did you die? Noah, if you ghost me after stealing my cheesecake I'll take it personally. Noah, I made tiramisu. Noah, this is emotional manipulation. BTW. Valeria stared at the messages for way too long before locking her phone again. Sophia immediately noticed something was wrong during dinner that night. Okay. What happened? Valeria poked at her noodles miserably. Nothing. You look emotionally constipated. That's vivid. Sophia narrowed her eyes. Did you and cafe husband fight? He's not my husband. Yet. Valeria groaned loudly. I'm serious. Sophia softened slightly. You like him too much now. Silence. Valeria looked down. Sophia sighed knowingly. Oh, honey. I can't do this again. This isn't Ethan. That's what I thought about Ethan. Sophia reached across the table gently. You know what your problem is? Several things probably. You think being loved means eventually being abandoned. The words hit directly where it hurt. Because they were true. Painfully true. Later that night Valeria sat alone in her apartment staring blankly at the city lights outside her window. Her chest felt heavy. Restless. Then came a knock at her door. She already knew it was Noah. Somehow she always knew. Valeria opened the door slowly. Noah stood there holding a container of soup and looking tired. Mia said soup fixes emotional crises, he explained quietly. Valeria's throat tightened unexpectedly. You didn't have to come up here. I know. He looked at her carefully. You disappeared. She crossed her arms defensively. I've been busy. Noah gave her a look. You're a terrible liar. Silence stretched between them. Then Noah sighed softly. Did I scare you? Valeria opened her mouth automatically to deny it. But this time the lie wouldn't come out. Noah's expression softened immediately at her silence. Hey, he murmured gently. I'm not asking you for forever. Her chest hurt now. Noah, I just want a chance. God. That stupid beautiful man was going to ruin her life. And the worst part? She was already halfway ruined. Chapter 7, The Kiss That Changed Everything. Valeria avoided Noah for exactly 48 hours before losing the battle completely. Mostly because the man was impossible to escape. He existed everywhere now. In her routine. In her thoughts. In the stupid little smiles she caught herself making during meetings whenever he texted something ridiculous. On Wednesday morning her phone buzzed while she sat miserably at her desk pretending to read legal documents. Noah, emergency. Valeria, if this is another pastry-related crisis I'm blocking you. Noah, worse. Noah, Mia accidentally scheduled me for a speed dating event tonight. Valeria stared at the screen. Then another text arrived. Noah, save me. Valeria laughed before she could stop herself. Jenna immediately looked over from the next desk. That's cafe boy, isn't it? Mind your business. Jenna gasped dramatically. You're smiling again. Valeria flipped her off without looking up. 5 minutes later she found herself texting back anyway. Valeria, why would you agree to speed dating? Noah, I didn't Noah, Mia signed me up because apparently I need to stop yearning pathetically. Valeria bit her lip trying not to laugh. Noah, please come pretend to be my terrifying girlfriend. Noah, you're naturally gifted at scaring people. She stared at the message for a long moment before typing back. Valeria, fine, but only because I support bullying men. Noah, knew you loved me. Her heartbeat stumbled so hard she immediately locked her phone. Absolutely not. The speed dating event took place in a bookstore cafe downtown that evening. Valeria arrived 20 minutes late intentionally because she refused to appear eager about anything. Unfortunately, the second she walked in, Noah looked up and smiled like she'd personally hung the stars in the sky. Which should have been illegal, honestly. He stood up immediately from his table. You came. Barely. Noah grinned while pulling out the chair beside him. You look beautiful. Valeria glanced down at her black dress awkwardly. You say that every time you see me. Because it's true every time I see you. Her stomach betrayed her again. Traitorous organ. Mia sat nearby with a glass of wine looking deeply entertained. Oh wow, she announced dramatically. You're both disgustingly into each other now. I hate this family, Valeria muttered. Noah sat beside her with suspicious satisfaction. You missed Brenda. Who's Brenda? My first speed date. She asked if I believed crystals cured migraines. And? I said ibuprofen existed. Bold. Noah leaned closer conspiratorially. She called me spiritually closed-minded. Valeria snorted into her drink. Over the next hour women rotated through Noah's table while Valeria sat beside him pretending to be his girlfriend. It should have been annoying. Instead it became weirdly entertaining. One woman asked Noah if he believed in soulmates. I think people choose each other every day, he answered simply. Valeria looked at him before she could stop herself. Another woman asked his biggest fear. Noah answered immediately. Hurting someone I love. That one hit harder than expected. Then came Tiffany. Tiffany was blonde, gorgeous, and wearing enough perfume to stun wildlife. She smiled brightly at Noah. So why's a guy like you single? Noah opened his mouth. Valeria interrupted instantly. He cries during movies and owns 7 different scented candles. Noah looked offended. Those candles create atmosphere. Tiffany blinked awkwardly before excusing herself 5 minutes later. Noah turned toward Valeria slowly. Were you jealous? Absolutely not. You insulted my candles. They smell aggressive. Noah laughed quietly while studying her face. You really don't realize when you do it, huh? Do what? Act like you care. Her chest tightened. I don't. Liar. His voice softened around the word. The noise of the cafe faded strangely around them. Noah's gaze stayed locked on hers while something warm and dangerous flickered between them again. You're staring, Valeria whispered weakly. Can you blame me? God. There it was again. That feeling. Like her ribs were too tight around her heart. Noah's eyes drifted briefly toward her mouth before returning to her eyes. Slow enough for her to notice. Slow enough to make her breath catch. Mia suddenly appeared beside the table dramatically. Okay, this tension is becoming unbearable. Valeria nearly jumped. Noah groaned loudly. Please leave. No. Kiss already or I'm spraying you both with water like fighting cats. Valeria choked on her drink while Noah buried his face in his hands. I'm surrounded by evil. Mia pointed aggressively between them. You've both been eye-fucking each other for weeks. MIA, Noah shouted while Valeria nearly died from embarrassment. Mia walked away laughing maniacally. Silence followed. Then Noah slowly looked back toward Valeria. For the record, he murmured quietly, I would never compare you to a cat. Valeria burst out laughing. That's your response? I panicked. She kept laughing while Noah smiled at her softly again. That look. That unbearable look, like he adored her. Valeria's chest ached unexpectedly. Later that night Noah walked her home through quiet city streets glowing gold beneath streetlights. The air smelled like rain. Their shoulders brushed occasionally while they walked. Neither moved away. You know, Noah said casually, you're really bad at pretending not to like me. Valeria rolled her eyes. You're delusional. You got jealous over Tiffany. I got annoyed because she pronounced espresso wrong. Noah laughed softly. Sure. Silence settled briefly between them. Comfortable. Warm. Dangerous. Then Noah suddenly reached for her hand. Valeria's breath caught instantly. His fingers intertwined with hers naturally, like they belonged there. Like this was easy. Like this was normal. Her pulse fluttered hard against her ribs. Noah, she whispered. He glanced down at her gently. Too much? The carefulness in his voice nearly destroyed her. Because he would let go immediately if she asked. He'd never push. Never force. Never demand. And somehow that made her want to hold on tighter. So instead of pulling away, Valeria squeezed his hand once. Noah smiled slowly after that. Soft. Genuine. Beautiful. It ruined her instantly. By the time they reached her apartment building, Valeria's entire body felt restless with nervous energy. Noah walked her to her door like always. But tonight felt different somehow. He stood closer. Looked at her differently. The air between them practically hummed. Thank you for saving me from speed dating, he murmured. You're welcome. Neither moved. Valeria could hear her own heartbeat now. Noah glanced toward her lips again. This time he didn't hide it. Valeria, he said quietly. Her name sounded dangerous in his voice. What? She whispered back. Noah lifted one hand slowly and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered briefly against her skin. Gentle. Careful. Her breath caught completely. Tell me to stop, he murmured softly. She should. God, she should. Instead Valeria whispered, what if I don't want you to? Something changed in Noah's expression instantly. Like restraint snapping apart. Then he kissed her. Soft at first. Careful. Like he was still giving her time to pull away. Valeria made the mistake of kissing him back immediately. Noah exhaled sharply against her mouth before kissing her deeper. One hand settled against her waist while the other cupped her jaw gently like she was precious. Her knees nearly gave out. Oh. Oh, this was bad. Very bad. Because Noah kissed like he meant it. Like he'd been thinking about this for weeks. Valeria grabbed the front of his jacket instinctively while her entire brain short-circuited. Noah smiled faintly against her lips. You have no idea, he murmured between kisses, how long I've wanted this. You're very dramatic, she whispered breathlessly. And you're very pretty. She laughed softly before kissing him again herself this time. Noah made a low sound in his throat that absolutely destroyed her remaining sanity. The kiss deepened slowly. Warm and dizzying and unfairly perfect. When they finally pulled apart, both of them looked slightly stunned. Noah rested his forehead gently against hers while trying to catch his breath. Well, he said weakly. That felt medically concerning. Valeria burst into laughter. Noah grinned immediately. There she is. She looked up at him then. Really looked at him. The messy dark hair. The flushed cheeks. The softness in his eyes reserved only for her. And suddenly terror crept quietly beneath all the happiness. Because this mattered now. This was real now. Noah brushed his thumb gently across her cheek. Hey. What? Don't run away from me. Her chest tightened painfully. Because the horrible thing was, she already wanted to. Chapter 8, Almost Ruined. For one glorious month, Valeria Quinn became unbearable. Sophia informed her of this constantly. You literally giggled yesterday, Sophia accused while they browsed clothes together at the mall. Giggles left your body. Valeria looked offended. I do not giggle. You kicked your feet while texting him. Lies. Sophia stared blankly. You used to threaten men for breathing wrong. Valeria crossed her arms defensively. I still do. Not cafe husband. Valeria failed to hide her smile quickly enough. Sophia pointed dramatically. There it is. The problem was that Noah made happiness feel dangerously easy. He kissed her every morning before work like it was instinct. He cooked dinner in her apartment while singing badly to old songs. He held her hand in public proudly like he wanted the entire world to know she was his favorite person. Worst of all, Valeria trusted him. Slowly. Accidentally. Completely. Which was exactly why everything fell apart. It happened on a Thursday evening. Valeria arrived at the cafe after work expecting Noah's usual smile and free pastry. Instead, she froze just inside the doorway. A woman stood behind the counter laughing while Noah talked to her. Tall. Gorgeous. Long dark hair. Model-level beautiful. Her hand rested casually on Noah's arm. Something ugly twisted instantly inside Valeria's chest. Noah looked up first. His face brightened immediately. Hey, sweetheart. The woman turned around curiously. Her eyes widened slightly. Oh. Noah stepped around the counter quickly. Val, this is Claire. Claire smiled politely. Nice to finally meet you. Finally meet you. Valeria hated that phrase irrationally. Noah looked completely unaware of the emotional disaster unfolding beside him. Claire and I went to culinary school together. Went to culinary school together. Even worse. Claire laughed softly while looking at Noah. He still burns grilled cheese? Once, Noah defended. It was one time. Claire grinned. You set off a fire alarm. Valeria smiled tightly while something sharp pressed against her ribs. They looked comfortable together. Familiar. Like shared history. Noah noticed her expression finally. You okay? Fine. Lie. Claire checked her phone suddenly. I should go before traffic gets worse. She kissed Noah's cheek casually. Don't disappear another 3 years this time. Then she walked out. Silence followed immediately. Noah frowned slightly. Why are you looking at me like that? Valeria shrugged too quickly. Like what? Like you want to fight somebody. Maybe I do. Noah stepped closer carefully. Claire's just an old friend. I didn't ask. Okay. But he kept studying her face. You're jealous. I'm literally not. Valeria. She's beautiful. The words escaped before she could stop them. Noah blinked in surprise. Then his expression softened instantly. Baby. Don't baby me. He gently grabbed her hand anyway. You know you're the only person I want, right? Her chest tightened painfully because part of her believed him instantly while another part whispered not to be stupid. Don't trust this too much. Don't get comfortable. Don't forget what happened last time. Noah squeezed her hand gently. Talk to me. Valeria pulled away instead. I'm tired. Hurt flickered briefly across his face before disappearing. Okay. She hated herself immediately afterward. But fear had already started crawling back under her skin. And fear made her cruel. The next few days turned awful quickly. Every tiny insecurity she'd buried started resurfacing. Noah answering texts too slowly. Noah mentioning Claire helped design part of the cafe menu. Noah laughing at something on his phone. None of it actually meant anything. But Valeria's brain twisted everything anyway. By Sunday night she was exhausted from fighting herself. Noah noticed. Of course he did. You barely looked at me all day, he said quietly while they cleaned dishes after dinner. I'm fine. There's that lie again. Valeria sighed heavily. Can we not do this? Noah set the plate down carefully. Do what? Analyze me. His brows furrowed. I'm trying to understand what happened. Nothing happened. Then why does it feel like you're waiting for me to disappoint you? Silence. Because he was right. Noah stepped closer slowly. Valeria. People change. The words came out sharper than intended. Noah looked genuinely confused now. What? People say things. Promise things. Then they wake up one day and decide you're not enough anymore. Understanding slowly crossed his face. Then hurt. Deep hurt. You think I'm gonna cheat on you? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. Valeria crossed her arms tightly. Defensive. Scared. Noah stared at her for a long moment before speaking quietly. That's what this is about. Noah, you really think I'd hurt you like that? His voice sounded rough now. Valeria looked away immediately because she couldn't handle the disappointment in his eyes. I don't know. The second the words left her mouth she regretted them. Noah actually flinched slightly like she'd slapped him. Silence filled the kitchen. Heavy and awful. Wow, he whispered finally. Noah, I love you. His voice cracked slightly around the words. And I've spent every day trying to show you that you're safe with me. Valeria's chest tightened painfully. I know. Do you? He laughed bitterly once. Because it feels like I'm being punished for what someone else did. Tears burned unexpectedly behind her eyes. Noah ran a frustrated hand through his hair before looking away. I can handle your sarcasm. Your walls. Your fear. But I can't keep proving I'm not him every single day. That's not fair, she whispered weakly. Noah looked back at her then. Hurt and exhausted and still somehow gentle despite everything. Neither is this. Silence stretched painfully between them. Then Noah stepped backward slowly. I think you need to decide if you actually want this. Her throat tightened instantly. Noah, but he was already walking toward the door. And for the first time since meeting him, Valeria felt something truly terrifying settle in her chest. She might actually lose him. Chapter 9, Choosing Love. Valeria didn't sleep that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling while Noah's words replayed endlessly in her head. I can't keep proving I'm not him every single day. Every time she closed her eyes she saw the hurt on his face. Not anger. Not frustration. Hurt. Like she'd reached into his chest and squeezed something fragile. Which, unfortunately, she had. By 3 a.m. she found herself sitting cross-legged on the kitchen floor eating shredded cheese directly from the bag while having a crisis. Ethan the cactus watched silently from the windowsill. Don't judge me, she muttered. Her phone sat beside her the entire time. Noah hadn't texted. For the first time in months there was nothing from him. No stupid memes. No goodnight message. No dramatic declarations about pastry-related emergencies. The silence felt horrible. By morning Valeria looked emotionally haunted. Sophia took one look at her during brunch and sighed immediately. What did you do? Valeria stabbed her pancake miserably. I ruined everything. Specifics. She explained the fight quietly while Sophia listened without interrupting. By the end, Sophia looked deeply unimpressed. Okay, first of all, she said flatly, you're being stupid. Thank you for the support. No, seriously. That man worships you. Valeria groaned. I know. Then why are you acting like he's secretly plotting your downfall? Because people leave. Sophia softened slightly after that. Yeah, she admitted quietly. Sometimes they do. Valeria looked down at her coffee. I can't survive that again. You survived it before. Barely. Sophia reached across the table gently. Valeria, loving someone is always terrifying. There's no version of it that comes with guarantees. Tears stunned unexpectedly behind her eyes. Sophia squeezed her hand. But Noah's not asking you for guarantees. Then what is he asking for? Sophia smiled softly. A chance. Those exact words hit her chest all over again. God. Noah had been patient with her from the very beginning. Careful. Understanding. He never pushed harder when she panicked. Never punished her for being afraid. He just stayed. And somehow she still managed to hurt him. Valeria suddenly stood up so fast she nearly knocked over her chair. Sophia blinked. Where are you going? To fix my life. Finally. Valeria practically sprinted out of the restaurant afterward. The entire drive to the cafe her heart pounded violently against her ribs. Fear and panic tangled together inside her chest. Because what if she'd already ruined this? What if Noah finally decided she was too difficult? Too damaged? Too exhausting to love? By the time she reached the cafe it was barely sunrise. The open sign glowed softly through the windows while warm golden light spilled onto the empty street. Valeria pushed inside breathlessly. Noah stood behind the counter preparing coffee beans. He looked exhausted. Dark circles beneath his eyes. Hair messy. Expression tired. The second he saw her, he froze completely. Silence filled the cafe. Valeria's throat tightened instantly. Hi, she whispered. Noah set the coffee scoop down slowly. Hi. God. He sounded careful now. Like he didn't know if she'd break him again. That realization nearly shattered her completely. Valeria stepped closer nervously. Can we talk? Noah nodded once. Yeah. She stood across from him gripping the edge of the counter tightly because her hands were shaking. I was wrong. Noah blinked slightly like he wasn't expecting that. Valeria swallowed hard. About everything. Silence. Then Noah leaned his elbows against the counter quietly. Okay. Tears burned painfully behind her eyes now. You scare me, she admitted softly. Noah's face fell slightly. Val, not because I think you'll hurt me. Her voice cracked a little. Because you're good to me. He went still. Completely still. Valeria laughed shakily through the tears threatening to spill. You're kind and patient and ridiculously in love with me for some insane reason. Noah's expression softened instantly. And if someone like you leaves, her voice broke this time. I don't think I'd recover. Noah stared at her for one heartbeat. Then two. Then he walked around the counter immediately. Valeria barely had time to breathe before his hands cupped her face gently. Hey, he whispered. Look at me. She did. His eyes looked warm despite the exhaustion. Hurt still lingered there too. But underneath it was love. Endless stupid beautiful love. I'm not Ethan, Noah murmured softly. Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. I know. I would never punish you for being hard to love. Valeria laughed weakly through the tears. I am hard to love. Noah looked personally offended. Absolutely not. His thumbs brushed gently beneath her eyes. You're just scared. God. She loved him. The realization hit suddenly and completely. Terrifying. Overwhelming. Certain. Noah watched her carefully. What are you thinking? Valeria took a shaky breath. I think, her heartbeat thundered painfully. I think I'm in love with you. Noah actually stopped breathing for a second. Then his eyes closed briefly like the words physically hit him. Jesus Christ, he whispered weakly. Valeria laughed nervously. That's not exactly the reaction I imagined. Noah opened his eyes again and looked at her like she was the center of the universe. You have no idea how long I've wanted to hear you say that. Her chest ached beautifully. I'm sorry I hurt you. Come here. Then Noah kissed her. Hard. Immediate. Like he'd been holding himself back for days. Valeria grabbed his shirt instantly while he pulled her flush against him. Every bit of fear and tension melted beneath the warmth of his mouth. Noah kissed like relief. Like devotion. Like coming home. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathless. Noah rested his forehead against hers while smiling shakily. You absolute menace. Valeria laughed softly. You're obsessed with me. Hopelessly. That sounds unhealthy. Probably. He kissed her again quickly before pulling back slightly. But just so we're clear. What? Noah looked directly into her eyes. You don't get to decide for me whether you're worth loving. Her throat tightened painfully. Noah, I already chose you. Tears threatened again immediately. You're being emotional before 8 a.m. And whose fault is that? She smiled through watery eyes while Noah looked at her like he'd never recover from loving her. Honestly, neither would she. Chapter 10, Happily Ever After. 1 year later. Noah, Valeria said carefully. If you scream, I'm leaving. Noah stared at the pregnancy test in her hand with the exact expression of a man witnessing divine intervention. I'm not screaming, he whispered loudly. Valeria blinked. You're whisper screaming. Because it's 6 in the morning. That's still screaming. Noah looked back down at the test. Then back at her. Then back at the test again. We're having a baby? Valeria laughed nervously. Apparently. Silence. Complete silence. Then Noah suddenly grabbed her face with both hands. We made a person? Technically not yet. Valeria. She burst into laughter as Noah started pacing their bathroom dramatically while running his hands through his hair. Are we old enough for this? We're 30. Emotionally, I'm 17. That explains a lot, honestly. Noah stopped pacing immediately and looked at her again. This time his eyes softened completely. We're having a baby, he whispered quietly. Emotion cracked through his voice at the end. Valeria's chest tightened instantly. Yeah. Noah crossed the room in 2 seconds and pulled her into his arms so fast she squealed. Noah. Sorry. Sorry. He kissed her forehead repeatedly while laughing breathlessly. I just really love you. Valeria smiled against his chest. You're emotional. There's a tiny human involved now. Tiny blob currently. Noah gasped dramatically. Don't disrespect our child. She laughed harder while he held her impossibly close. The apartment around them felt warm and peaceful in the early morning light. Their apartment. Somehow Noah had slowly filled every corner of her life until loving him became as natural as breathing. Not easy. Love was never easy. But real. Steady. Safe. You know, Noah murmured while still holding her, I had a whole speech planned for when I proposed. Valeria pulled back slightly. You already proposed. Yeah, but this feels like another milestone. She snorted. You're comparing pregnancy to engagement? Both involve you legally ruining my life. Interesting choice of words. Noah grinned before kissing her softly. The wedding had happened 6 months earlier on a rooftop covered in fairy lights and white roses. Valeria pretended not to cry over. Sophia gave a speech that included the phrase emotionally constipated raccoon, which unfortunately made the entire room laugh. Noah cried during their vows. Obviously. Valeria cried too, although she denied it aggressively afterward. Now the cafe downstairs had expanded into a second location while Valeria worked fewer hours at her firm because apparently love really did rearrange priorities. She still threatened people occasionally though. Noah claimed it kept the relationship exciting. Later that afternoon they told Mia first. Mostly because Noah physically could not keep the secret longer than 6 hours. Mia screamed so loudly a customer dropped his muffin. "I'm going to be an aunt?" "Please lower your voice," Valeria begged while laughing. Noah looked equally emotional beside her. Mia immediately grabbed Valeria into a hug. "Oh my God. You're actually happy now." Valeria rolled her eyes automatically. "I was always happy." Everyone stared at her. "Okay, fine," she admitted. "Happier." Noah kissed her temple proudly. The rest of the day passed in a blur of excitement and chaos. By evening the cafe closed early because Noah was too distracted to function properly. "You put salt instead of sugar into 3 lattes, Mia informed him flatly. Noah looked unapologetic. "I'm becoming a father." "You're becoming a public safety hazard." Later that night Valeria sat wrapped in a blanket on their apartment balcony while city lights glittered below. Warm summer air brushed softly against her skin. Noah stepped outside carrying 2 mugs of tea before settling beside her. He wrapped one arm around her shoulders automatically. "Cold?" No silence settled comfortably between them while traffic hummed faintly below. Noah rested his chin lightly against her head. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. Valeria smiled faintly while staring out across the skyline. "You know what's weird?" "What?" "I used to think love was the thing that destroyed people." Noah kissed her temple gently. "And now?" She looked up at him then. Really looked at him. At the man who loved her patiently through every fear. The man who chose her even when she struggled to choose herself. The man who made her laugh until her stomach hurt. The man who held her heart carefully instead of carelessly. Valeria intertwined their fingers slowly. "Now I think love is the thing that saves them." Noah's eyes softened instantly. "Come here." Then he kissed her softly beneath the city lights while her heart swelled painfully with happiness. And for the first time in her life, loving someone didn't feel terrifying anymore. It felt like home. Epilogue: The boy who loved her first. 3 years later. Your daughter just called me bald. Noah stood in the kitchen holding a tiny pink hairbrush while looking deeply betrayed. Across the room, 3-year-old Lily Callahan sat at the table eating strawberries with the confidence of someone who paid bills in the household. Valeria glanced up from her laptop calmly. "Well, are you bald?" No, Lily pointed dramatically. "Little bald." Noah gasped. "I work hard to maintain this hair." "Daddy old," Lily informed Valeria seriously. Valeria bit her lip to stop herself from laughing. Noah narrowed his eyes at both of them. "This feels targeted." Lily smiled sweetly. "Love you." Noah melted instantly. "Okay, that fixed it." Valeria watched them quietly while warmth spread through her chest. Some mornings still surprised her. The fact she had this life. This family. This overwhelming, terrifying happiness. If someone had told 27-year-old Valeria Quinn that one day she'd be married to the annoyingly cheerful cafe owner downstairs while raising a tiny dictator with his smile, she would have laughed directly in their face. And yet. "Mommy," Lily announced suddenly, "Daddy cry at movie again." Valeria snorted immediately. Noah looked offended. "It was emotional." "It was Kung Fu Panda," Valeria replied. "He found inner peace, Valeria." Lily nodded solemnly. "Very brave." "Thank you." Valeria burst out laughing while Noah dramatically scooped Lily into his arms. "You're my favorite child," he informed her. "Only child," Lily corrected. "Still winning." Their daughter giggled loudly while Noah attacked her cheeks with kisses until she squealed. The apartment smelled like pancakes and coffee and home. Real home. Not the fragile version Valeria used to dream about. Not the kind built on pretending. This one was messy. Loud. Real. And somehow that made it perfect. A knock sounded on the apartment door before Noah could start another argument with a toddler. "That's probably Mia," Valeria said. Noah groaned dramatically. "Hide the child. My sister teaches bad habits." Too late. Mia burst through the door carrying shopping bags and chaos. "My favorite niece," she shouted. Lily immediately wriggled free from Noah's arms. "Auntie Mia." "Traitor." Mia handed Lily a stuffed dinosaur before grinning at Valeria. "You look suspiciously happy." Valeria shrugged casually. "Maybe I enjoy peace now." Mia nearly collapsed onto the couch dramatically. "Who are you and what have you done with the emotionally unavailable lawyer?" "Mother had changed me." Noah wrapped his arms around Valeria from behind while resting his chin on her shoulder. "No," he corrected softly. "Love changed you." Valeria rolled her eyes automatically but leaned back into him anyway. Mia gagged loudly. "You two are still disgusting." "Thank you," Noah replied proudly. Lily climbed onto a kitchen chair before holding up her dinosaur importantly. "His name Pancake." "Strong choice," Noah said seriously. Valeria looked around the apartment quietly while they all talked over each other. The walls held framed wedding photos now. Tiny fingerprints marked the refrigerator. Noah's cookbooks crowded the kitchen shelves beside her legal files. Their lives had tangled together completely. And strangely enough, Valeria no longer feared that. Because loving Noah never felt like losing herself. It felt like becoming more herself. Later that evening after Mia left and Lily finally fell asleep, Valeria found Noah downstairs in the closed cafe cleaning the espresso machine. Well, attempting to clean it. Mostly he was dancing terribly to old music again. Valeria leaned against the doorway watching him silently. Noah noticed almost immediately. His face lit up the exact same way it had the first time he saw her. Even after all these years. Even now. "You're staring," he said softly. Valeria smiled. "Can you blame me?" Noah's expression melted instantly. God. That smile still ruined her. He walked over slowly before wrapping his arms around her waist. "You know," he murmured, "I loved you first." Valeria laughed quietly. "Debatable." "No, seriously. Elevator day. You insulted me within 30 seconds and I thought, wow, that's the woman I'm gonna annoy forever." "That's concerning." "You married me anyway." She smiled while smoothing a hand over his chest. "Yeah," she admitted softly. "Best decision I ever made." Noah kissed her slowly beneath the warm cafe lights while the city glowed outside the windows. And somewhere between heartbreak and healing, sarcasm and softness, fear and trust, Valeria Quinn learned something important. Love wasn't weakness. Love was choosing someone every day. Even when it scared you. Even when life got messy. Even when your daughter called you bald before breakfast. Especially then. The end. The end. This was brought to you by Romance Hobbit. If this story moved you, subscribe. A new story is already waiting for you.